Last September, Australian teenager Chet Lawrence proved he was ready for stardom when he captured the 250 class Pro Motocross Championship on this very track here at Pala in California. After a winning Supercross campaign that saw the Honda rider earn the 250 East Championship, the Jet returns to Pala, ready to repeat against a deep and hungry 250 motocross field. It's time to take it outdoors. The 2022 AMA season starts right now.
It's the kickoff to the 50th anniversary celebration of America's Motocross Championship, the opening round of the 2022 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. It's the Honda Fox Raceway National. Hello everyone, Jason Wygant all season long will be joined by legends as we celebrate the anniversary of this championship today. It's 7-time AMA National Champion Rick Johnson and the King of Supercross and 250 National Motocross Champion Jeremy McGrath. And all that excitement alone is enough. But it's round one, and there's nothing better in motorsports than not knowing exactly what to expect. And RJ, expect the unexpected in the 250 class.
Well, in the 250 class, some things haven't changed. Michael Moseman, Justin Cooper, and Jet Lawrence, all very fast. But the other Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence, was very quick, and Seth Hammaker put down the fastest time in qualifying. So a lot of great racing is being set up. We have two long motos today. The weather is perfect, but the sun is starting to break. I can't wait.
Absolutely, and a really rough racetrack to settle it today, Jeremy.
Track is tough. This track is notoriously have some big jumps. It's very technical. Going to be a lot of bumps out there. The guys are going to have awesome bike setup to get through these long, rough motos. Obviously, the weather's working out for us today so far, but we're in for some great racing.
Absolutely. Riders are out on the track right now taking their last survey until Moto 1 begins. There are a lot of contenders for this 250 title. Let's get to meet them.
My expectations for 2022 are very high. I expect to be in the title fight. I expect to win races. I expect to progress and to improve on years past.
Mentally, I'm refreshed, and physically, we're going to be ready to fight all the way through the end. And the goal is definitely the title this year, and I think I'll be, fresh and ready to go once that, round one comes around.
I want to be a top guy. I want to be a podium guy, but consistently. For sure, a top 5 guy. Week in and week out, and be somebody that's battling for podiums and battling for wins and be there all season.
My success in outdoors has kind of progressed each year. I feel like each year, I'm in a better spot or a better chance to be, a race winner almost every weekend.
Yeah, I'm really excited coming into the 2022 season with the #1 plate. I mean, we trained for this, and we want to get a title, obviously, and to get to run the #1 plate. It's awesome. I mean, I remember dreaming as a kid just wanting to run the #1 plate because not many people get to run it. So I'm very excited. Hopefully I can back it up.
I want to win the championship. I want to take it from my brother. I want to be top 3 every moto, top 5 every start. That's the goals I set for myself. And if I can do those and average top 5 starts, and that, I believe I can win the championship.
All right, let's introduce a new member to the broadcast team this year, Jason Thomas. Provide us with a trackside report.
So I'm down here on the start, and I know it sounds pretty typical and obvious to say how important the start's going to be today. But this start at Fox Raceway is critical because you have a pretty short chute into the first turn. It's a hairpin, really tight. And what's going to happen is everybody's going to dive for that inside. They're going to run into each other and push wide. And we already saw an incident today between your fastest qualifier, the Seth Hammaker, and last year's runner-up, Justin Cooper. So I think you're going to see more of that throughout the day. These guys are going to have to really be careful getting through that first turn, or they can ruin their day right off the bat.
Well, that was a crash, as JT mentioned, from the first qualifying session today. 20 seconds into the season, things happen in a hurry. We'll show you the rest of the track here, courtesy of the MX vs. ATV Legends track map.
Well, that set me up perfectly for what I wanted to say. This is a treacherous first turn and second turn. We saw a crash in the very first practice. So as they go through there, they got to negotiate their way around into an unbelievable dragon back where they're going to be doing a lot of different things into a big tabletop. But MC, a lot of big jumps and a lot of different timing. Scrubs and send it.
We know this Fox Raceway is going to be very technical. Lots of big jumps. These riders love it. The question is, are they going to send it off these jumps? Or are they going to roll them to save time? What are they going to do? The track's going to be deep. Got to keep the momentum. It's going to be some awesome racing.
As well as the lines are going to change. What was fast in qualifying might be fast in the first moto, but second moto when it comes around, you got to find new lines.
And these riders are very familiar with this track. It's a place that they come to and test and practice on quite a bit throughout the season, but it's about to be race time. We'll be back with the first moto of the season in the 2022 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. They're gunning for Jet Lawrence, last year's national champion. Can he get it done again? And who is in the realm to be able to knock off the number one? Well, there are several riders looking to take that number one plate away. Justin Cooper at the top of that list as he tangled with Jet Lawrence all year last year. He's coming back from injury and looked pretty darn quick in practice. Michael Mosiman is looking for his first ever national win. He got his first Supercross win this year. He is on the rise. Austin Faulkner back as a race winner in Supercross this year, looking to do the same thing outdoors. And when you talk about Jet, you talk about Hunter. Both Lawrence brothers are hungry this year.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive. General Tire, anywhere is possible. And by Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance.
Back here at Fox Raceway in Pala, Honda debuting their 2023 CRF line last night as part of this 50th anniversary celebration of the series, and for them as a race team here in the United States. General Tire menu. This is our broadcast time for today. First hour, we'll have our 250 Moto 1 right now. Next hour, 450 Moto 1. We'll come right back with Moto 2s at 6 and 7 p.m. And it's Easter time here from Fox Raceway. Now, time for the KTM keys to the Moto.
All right, well, one of the keys, I believe, is going to be the downhill speed. This track's going to have some bumps at the bottom. These guys are going to have to keep their speed. Also, to keep the speed, the bike setup has to be perfect. So look for that.
Well, we saw it in practice, and we could see it again. You have to survive these first two turns. We have a 180 left and a 180 right. Surviving that is the key, in my opinion, the key to this race.
All right, Fly Racing 30-second card is up. We've talked all about it. We've watched practice and qualifying. We've theorized. We've bench raced. Now it is time to go.
Well, here's the great thing. It's a 40-man tie for first place, and this is the only time that it happens. So everybody has stars in their eyes. They can't wait, and they all believe they have a shot at the championship. But those top guys from last year, we got to keep an eye on them.
Revs are up. Gates down to the 2022 season. Jet Lawrence, a good start today. Justin Cooper up the inside. Can he hold it to the 32? And he does. Justin Cooper to the lead.
The same battles we had last year. And here we see Seth Amaker working his way into second place, trying to get past, but no. Jet Lawrence holds on to second place. So top three guys are, Cooper, Lawrence, and Amaker.
Hamaker was the fast qualifier. Then it is Hunter Lawrence into fourth. So a good start right now for a lot of our contenders. And Jet doing everything he can to keep Hamaker behind him.
I'll tell you, this is what Cooper needed, right? We know he's coming off an injury. He needed some clean air. He's out in front. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for him. Now it's up to these guys to keep him in sight.
And we're going to see if Hamaker is for real. Won the qualifying sessions, both of them earlier. Can he keep pace in race form against arguably the three big names in this series? That's the Lawrence brothers and Cooper.
Well, and he hasn't had a lot of track time against these guys. And you start to understand, is the guy chippy? He's going to hit on me? Is he going to lean on me? But right now, he's learning as he goes. But this man with Hamaker was very fast in both practices as you see him challenging Jet for second place.
He is going after Jet Lawrence. Seth Hamaker is for real. This is only his third national due to injuries. He has missed a ton of time. He's barely ever raced motocross as a professional. You wouldn't know it the way the number 47 has been riding today in the Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
That is a valid point. You know what? He's behind these guys. He hasn't been behind them a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing a lot of stuff that he can learn from right now. Third national. Is that third national? I mean, come on. Look at this guy. He's going to got the champ right in front of him. And, you know, look, the racer and him saying, look, let's get by this guy as fast as I can. But on the other hand, he's going to sit here and want to learn from him.
Well, if you can see, in my opinion, if you can see the leader, you just need to be patient. You need to be breathing, making sure that your heart rate doesn't get too high. You don't get arm pump, because a lot of times that happens when you've had a lot of couch time. Even though you've practiced and trained, racing is different. So making sure that he keeps control of his breathing. He's watching the two guys, because these two guys were the dominant factors last year. When it came to fast qualifying, Justin Cooper with 8, Lawrence with only 2 whole shots, Justin Cooper with 11, and Lawrence with only 1. So these are the two guys that have set the pace when it comes to it, and they're doing the same right now.
Oh, and Cooper had to hustle to cover that inside. Jet Lawrence was coming, but yeah, 11 whole shots last year for Cooper. So, Jeremy, that's you identified. That has always been a strength of Cooper, trying to control the race from the front.
Well, what you can see right now is you see Lawrence kind of varying off the line just a little bit to keep his eyes open, see what's out there. And again, one of the factors in the beginning of these races is the track is a bit wet, right? So they're kind of trying to go fast, but they're not going their fastest yet because this track's breaking in a little bit.
Hunter Lawrence is 4th, Josh Farizzi 5th, Faulkner, Robertson, Pierce Brown, Levi Kitchen, Joe Shimoda. That is your top 10 as we go to the second lap of this 30-minute and 2-lap moto. And just as quickly as Jet put the pressure on Cooper able to respond. And we got a crash here. This is Jalik Swoll, I believe. Oh.
And what happens, he just nipped the guy's back wheel, and now he's in a bad spot. It looks like maybe dislocated his shoulder, something with his right arm. Could be a humerus bone. But when in a situation like that, everybody's moving side to side, and he just happened to grab the back wheel of the rider in front of him, and down he goes hard because you don't have time to get yourself out. When you crash by yourself, sometimes you have enough time to get yourself figured out. But right now, I think what Jet Lawrence is doing, after I finish my thought with that, is that he's giving Cooper time to get away. That way, he's not holding him up. If you start running really aggressive at the beginning, that guy has to ride protectively. So right now, he wants to see what Cooper has and see if he's got something to stay with him.
And they pulled away a little bit from Hamaker in 3rd, a little bit more from Hunter Lawrence in 4th. But Jeremy, you're making the point the track's going to change quite a bit in these first couple of laps, and that's what I love about the beginning of the outdoor season. Everybody's kind of just feeling each other out right now.
Yeah, Jace, here's another thing. You know, Jet is a savvy rider. We know that, right? He's the champ from last year. But what he could also be doing is sitting behind a little bit, just enough where he's not getting muddy, right? Because we know the track's going to break in a little bit here. He's letting Cooper have 4, 5, 6 bike lengths, trying not to be in that roost all the time, and until the track gets a little bit dried out, and then he'll force his way right up to the rear wheel. So this could be a strategy. Obviously, like Rick said, look, if you can see the leader, you're in good shape. This is going to be a long race.
And Hamaker still running with them right now. Farizzi still holding down 5th. And we got a pack right now. It's the 33 of Faulkner, the 44 of Brown, and they've gotten around Farizzi. So we're now looking at 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then Styles Robertson would be in 8th there on the number 50. That's the white Rockstar Husqvarna. So let's see what Pierce Brown has here on this 44. Ended the year in Supercross with a little bit of momentum. And he's right behind Faulkner, who won a Supercross race in Foxborough, Massachusetts late in the year. So a lot of people believe the old Austin Faulkner, who had the speed to run with anyone, is finally back. It was a disappointing summer for him last year. But Faulkner has found the aggression again. So let's see if he can start to move forward. He's up to 5th. Can he catch Hunter Lawrence in 4th?
Well, Hunter Lawrence, very impressive. What did he say in the pre-race show? I want to get top 5 starts all the time, and I need to be top 3 finisher all year long. So right now, he's actually doing his job. He got that first 5th place start, holding that position down. Now, if he can still see the leaders, you can't lose track, because once, if you can't see them, you can't get them. And so my mechanic used to really push that on me, is you have to hang on to the leaders to make sure you keep them in sight.
Circulating just outside the top 10. You saw Derek Kelly there and Ty Masterpool, a couple of privateers. That is 13th and 14th. What has happened to Hunter? He's gone off the racetrack.
Got a little wide on the downhill there. Couldn't maintain his line. Did the safe thing, kind of went to the side, but you saw off track, off gas.
Oh, and Jet, we found out the same thing happened to him.
Just follow your brother. It looked like he had a good line. Yeah. Boy, these Lawrence brothers are connected.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Must be in the genetics. Wow. So that is gifted a little bit larger lead to Cooper, 1.2 seconds. They didn't lose a ton of time, but you said, Jeremy, off track, off gas, you're going to lose a little bit.
Yeah, you lose a little bit, but they did the smart thing by keeping their composure, kind of being easy on the throttle. You never know what's off the side of the tracks in these days. Sometimes could be a ditch, could be something, as we saw, a little water hose there he was next to. So smart to be off the gas when you're off the track, but I don't think that's going to hurt him. He's got a lot of momentum. He's going to be able to catch right back up.
But we've also seen Jet Lawrence at the end of the moto pull in like 2 seconds on guys and do some pretty spectacular laps at the end of the race. So I don't really think he's pushing himself right now. He's got a good gap. He can just kind of take his time. But with Cooper has been out, he's now back into the racing. So hopefully he doesn't tie up and get arm pump or get fatigued a little bit, because practice time is one time, but race time is completely different.
Yeah, Justin Cooper said he only has had about 5 weeks on the motorcycle. He said it was a good 5 weeks. but most of these riders have been racing since January in Supercross, but he had a foot injury that took him out of that, and it is beginning to tighten again after the off-track excursion. Jet Lawrence reeling Justin Cooper in as we were about to head uphill. Nice line or bad line there on the inside. What was that, Jeremy?
Wow, yeah, it looked like he was, that drone shot was crazy. It
Yeah.
looked like he was going to be really tight there, but as you could tell, that was an off-camera. Kind of pushed him wide on the exit. But we're going to see a lot of this all year long. And look, at the end of the day, for Cooper coming back off injury, if he can keep some momentum and get a podium here, he's going to be in really good shape.
Oh, wide line by Cooper. That might not have worked. He's just barely able to beat Jet Lawrence to the next corner. So we now have a battle for the lead and familiar foes. They've been at it all season long last year, and they've picked up right where they left off. Jet Lawrence on the number 1, Justin Cooper on the 32, and they're beginning to pull away from Hammaker and the rest of the field.
A crazy stat with these two. Last year at Fox Raceway, Jet Lawrence was first, Justin Cooper was third, but Justin Cooper never finished out of the top 3. Second, third, or first all year long, but it was the wins that really got Jet Lawrence in there. As
And
we see
he's
Jet
trying to
Lawrence
get one
going
right
for the
now,
front.
still trying the inside lines, and Cooper again able to beat him to the exit. Side by side we go. Jet Lawrence, Justin Cooper in front of the crowd here at Fox Raceway. Jet's going to be on the inside for this next right-hander. He's able to finish the deal. Cooper's going to have to send it around the outside to hold the lead. Too far outside. Jet Lawrence, your new leader.
I have to say that track prep is good when you can see lines from inside, outside, and cross-ups, you know, like that, and that kind of passing. That means track prep's good. Lots of lines.
I think, Jeremy, you had a great call when you were saying that Jet was hanging back, because now you see the roost isn't sticking to the guys, isn't blowing their tear-offs apart. So it's a really good, really smart move by Jet Lawrence. Now you see him out in front here at Fox Raceway.
All right, we're 10 minutes into a 30-minute and 2-lap first moto. So here's the question. Did Jet turn it up, or did Cooper begin to lose some steam? Maybe the rider that can tell us that story would be the third-place man, Seth Hammaker. Will he close on Cooper? So the champion is here, and he's serving notice. Jet Lawrence starting to get away. Show you our GoPro course preview. Show me to select a ride from earlier today in practice.
So you can look at the track. It's very tacky, very low. I mean, this is the on-camber, then it shoots down to an off-camber. You see how the rider's going to lean in, then falls away. To get a good run coming up this hill, you got to be very smooth. Make sure that you don't get too much wheelie and you don't get too much wheel spin.
Wow.
Pierce Brown. That's a good view for sure. Pierce Brown running the 6 right now, showing you how it's done. And our drone cam follows Jet Lawrence around, and I think we have our answer. Was it Jet turning it up or Cooper losing speed? The gap rapidly building. It's 3.3 seconds, and I was wondering if Hammaker could make a run at Cooper, and he has. We've got a battle for second here, RJ.
Well, Hammaker was very fast in practice, and that was, I got to give it to the Supercross King. He picked him. He said he's small, he's light, he's very fast and aggressive. He was the fastest qualifier as he starts to make time on Justin Cooper.
Did you guys see that right there? Did you see Cooper look back? We all know what happens when you start looking back, right? Start getting a little nervous. He can feel the heat coming on from Seth here.
Well, this was the worry with the lack of bike time with Cooper. The starts are there, the speed is there. He hasn't forgotten how to ride, but will he have the endurance early in the season, working his way back from injury? And he has a cavalry now to deal with, because it's not just Hammaker. Hunter Lawrence is there also.
On Justin Cooper, I want to throw a shout out to Dr. John Saragrosa, who completely rebuilt that ankle, did some pretty radical surgeries on that to make sure that Justin Cooper is back out there riding and is not holding him back. But as you said, lack of seat time is hard on a rider.
All right, Hammaker is there putting the challenge to him. Then it's Hunter Lawrence. Faulkner is fifth. We'll see if Faulkner can bridge that gap and try to make it a little bit bigger battle. You can see that group back there. Cooper's going to have to deal with heavy pressure, because you know that Hunter Lawrence doesn't want to sit back here off the podium spot. So he's actually closing on Hammaker as well. We got a battle.
Yeah, here's what's going on. Hammaker's like, man, I need to get by Cooper, but Hunter is right there, and Cooper knows that, right? So he's going to get these guys to tighten up. He's going to try to bring them to his speed. I think the key right now for Hammaker, he has to look past Cooper. When he gets close again, as you know, when you start looking at the guy, you start riding their speed.
And we are back here. Is that Cameron McAdoo out of this race? And man, oh, that does not look good at all. bloody nose there, and he looks worse for wear. Man, he was injured at this race last year. Tough break for McAdoo again. By the way, we're back, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and we'll be here almost every Saturday throughout the summer, including our next race next Saturday from Hangtown, that side of Sacramento, California. Tune us in at 4 o'clock Eastern. All 4 motos live each weekend on MAV TV. You're watching the battle for the number 2 spot in this 250 Moto 1. Justin Cooper has it. Seth Hamaker in green on the 47. And in the 96 of Hunter Lawrence.
As I'm watching Hamaker, he looks like he's a little bit sloppy. He's just not hitting his marks as good. He's pausing in the corner a little bit. He's not flowing as much. And you watch Hunter Lawrence as he tries to make time. He gets close, then he has to try a different line, falls back a little, but he's going to immediately catch back up. So if he gets by Hamaker, we're going to see another Lawrence going for second place.
Yeah, it could be the Lawrence brothers 1-2. That was a lot of the preseason buzz, that they might be the stiffest competition for each other. But Hamaker, no pushover here, MC. He's trying.
Well, what this is doing is giving Cooper some confidence, right? Because he knows he's gapping these guys again when Hamaker was right behind him. Hunter, all he can think about is like, hey, man, I got to get by these guys so I can chase down my brother.
Yeah, RJ, talk about riding defensive as Hamaker would have to do right now.
Well, he's just trying to keep it up, because it's different when you're chasing and being chased, and he's doing both. So there he loses a little time, and there we have it. Hunter Lawrence, small mistake by Hamaker, and Lawrence takes over third.
Feet came off the pegs, and that was all Hunter Lawrence needed. So you can see Hunter has picked up the pace now on the aggression, and he's going to close right in on Cooper as well.
See, as we're watching Hamaker, notice just he's not flowing like he was in practice and qualifying. Like he comes to the corner, little pause, leaning out, not leaning into the berm, not trusting the surface as much, and just looking a little bit off. I think he could be going with a little bit of arm pump, or maybe lost his breath a little bit. MC?
I think right now him getting past right there is going to help him. Right? He's going to be able to relax. He can't hear a guy behind him. He's got a little bit of a gap there. And what he needs to do is kind of regroup. I see exactly what you're saying, RJ. He's kind of slamming the ruts. And you saw when Hunter went by him there was a big hook in that rut.
Yep.
And those kind of, if you're forcing it too hard in there, those are just going to be really hard on your body. And like you said, just not very smooth.
And this is not what anybody wants to see, is that Jet Lawrence is now 8 seconds ahead and riding very, very comfortably. Notice he has nobody pressuring him. Very smooth on the entry, very smooth in the middle, very smooth on the exit.
And he just looked over, didn't see much. We're halfway through this moto. 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go. You know what that means? You'd save 15% or more on your insurance with Geico. And Hunter Lawrence is, yes, hunting down Justin Cooper, looking for the 1-2 for the Lawrence brothers and the Honda teammates. Justin Cooper's got another battle on his hands.
Well, with that, it's psychologically, it's got to be hard on Justin Cooper, because you've watched the guy that you were racing with all last year drive away from you. You notice you can't even see Jet Lawrence in front of him. He is down over 8 seconds ahead. So that is something that is going to be playing mind on him and on his mind, as well as Hunter Lawrence is all over, because you can hear the bike all around you, MC. It's not just a matter of what you can see.
Yeah, well, the two things. There's no better feeling than when you're leading and you can't hear the guy anymore, because you're like, wow, I'm gapping these guys and it's not that difficult. Now, one of the worst feelings is when you got a guy right on your tailpipe and you're like, man, how am I going to lose this guy, and I'm not able to do it. So that's what you're seeing right now.
Same line that Lawrence used to get around Hamaker, and he's got Cooper as well. If he can hold it, it's a Lawrence brothers 1-2 here at Fox Raceway.
And that was that hook in the rut. That was the same. Hunter used that savviness and made a pass in the same line on 2 separate laps.
And Hamaker is still in the picture as well, so there could be more pressure being applied to Justin Cooper. So we've got our 50th anniversary season of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross underway. Throughout the races, we'll be profiling some of the great legends of the past. Stay with us. So Hunter Lawrence really looks to me that he just kind of let that come to him. He was in no panic in the early laps, and it all fell into his hands.
Well, watching him, I think that, Jeremy has talked about this, is watching the success of your brother, but they do truly love each other. It's not this, they hate each other, this competitive rivalry. I think they do want to beat each other worse than anybody else, but they work together and they're feeding off of each other, as we see both Hunter brothers on Honda, both Lawrence brothers on Honda 1 and 2.
Yeah, and the gap is huge. We saw Jet look over his shoulder a lap ago, didn't see anyone behind him. Hamaker is still 4th. R.J. Hampshire is now around Forkner to take over the number 5 spot. Then it's Kitchen, Brown, Shimoda, Stiles, Robertson rounds out the top 10. But I think this was what everyone was worried about. Jet Lawrence was good enough to win this title a year ago. He was age 17, now he's 18. He might just be that much better and that much harder to beat.
Well, when we watched him early on, when he had that bad crash, he hurt himself in Supercross. He's like, I'm a 16-year-old kid. I'm going to go for it. This is my dream. He's got more the old bull mentality. He's going to walk down. He's not going to just run down and just grab everything he's got. He was doing exactly what Jeremy was saying, taking his time, not getting roosted, made his move. Now he's up to 8 seconds on his brother Hunter.
Yep, just got to control it here as we get into the final third of this first moto of the year.
You could definitely tell he had a lot more in the tank, right? Because as soon as the track came in, he poured on the afterburners there, and he gapped those guys 5-6 seconds in about 2 laps.
All right, so Jet Lawrence has this thing under control over Hunter Lawrence and Justin Cooper. After 2 successful seasons running championships in 500 and 250cc categories, the American Motorcyclists Association decided to add a development class to the motocross schedule. The idea was to give young riders an opportunity in the National Series, and that is how the world met a long-haired, California cool teenager named Marty Smith, considered the first teenage superstar of American motocross, and an idol to many. On his way to earning the first 2 125 national championships, Smith would guide his Honda to 18 moto and 8 overall wins throughout 1974 and 1975. And Marty would add a 500 class title to his trophy room in 1977, besting his rival Bob Hanna by just 24 points over the 6-round championship. After his retirement in 1981, Marty Smith stayed active on the racing side. He won the 1991 Baja 1000 as part of a motorcycle team. Marty and his wife Nancy died in a dune buggy accident on April 27, 2020. Marty Smith was inducted into the AMA Hall of Fame in the year 2000, and the AMA Motocross Rookie of the Year award is named in his honor. And there's the legacy of Marty Smith and RJ. I know a lot of people grew up with him as the role model in this sport.
Well, Marty Smith was my hero, and he then became my friend. I met him when I was 9 years old, racing the XR75 down at Speedway 117. But here's Marty Smith. I dislocated my hip. I was in the hospital by myself in St. Louis. The second day, I got a call from Marty asking me how I was. And my phone was going quiet, but Marty Smith was that kind of guy that cared about everybody around him, and an unbelievable champion. We'll miss him and Nancy. She was a sweetheart.
Absolutely, and that's a long part of the legacy of this sport, 50 years of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Here we are. The cavalry is coming. It is R.J. Hampshire on the move. He has made some passes. He's gotten around Hammaker, and now Hammaker has to deal with his teammate, Austin Forkner. So it's coming unraveled for the 47 real quickly here.
Wow, nice move by Forkner there. Do you see him? He doubled over when a lot of the guys earlier were kind of rolling that section. Made a nice pass on Hammaker. Not sure what's going on with him. He must be tightened up for sure, but boy, he's got his teammates all over him.
Yeah, and Levi Kitchen here in the 59, and they are going by in a hurry. So a big change in the second half of this moto for Hammaker, and that's the bad news in the 250 class. If you're a little bit off, there is no shortage of riders coming through traffic.
Well, and we talked about, we've been redundant on this, but when it talked about, there's practice time and there's race time, and you can see how his elbows are up. He's having a hard time hanging on. So if I had to put money on it, I would say he's got arm pump and he's probably just not breathing quite right. So now the cavalry is coming. The peloton has caught him, and now they're starting to go by. A bad deal for Hammaker.
So a reset at Justin Cooper still third, RJ Hampshire to fourth, then it's a 33 of Forkner, then Kitchen, and Hammaker trying to hold off yet another teammate in Joe Shimoda. Pierce Brown and Stiles Roberts would be next, and that would round out your top 10. Levi Kitchen, didn't get to see him much in Supercross. It's kind of the future of that Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing team. Justin Cooper here is now under pressure from RJ Hampshire. So now Cooper is going to have to fight through these final 8 minutes and 2 laps just to land on the podium. And Hampshire is as determined as they get. He will fight you with everything, so it's not going to be easy on Cooper.
Now, if you notice on the face of that, it's starting to get slick. So depending on what tire you went with, which I'm pretty sure everyone went with kind of an intermediate style tire, but it is definitely getting hard. But I want to repeat what Jeremy said earlier. They did a great job grooming this track here at Fox Raceway. Notice we got guys inside, outside, all over the place.
All right, Justin Cooper under pressure. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas and get a report from Cooper's team.
I'm down here with Daniel Castle, Justin Cooper's mechanic. Now, Justin has not raced since the finale at Hangtown last year. Missed all the Supercross season, so a really long way off. Got off to a great start. Is it just trying to get through today, or what's the approach?
Yeah, honestly, just trying to get out of California. Top 5 in points, top 3 in points. If a win's there, take it. But you're right, he hasn't raced since Hangtown last year, but he did go 1-1 there last year and then on a good note. So obviously for him, shooting for podiums no matter what, but the motocross start's going to leave California. We know that. So.
Now, we saw a crash early on in practice today. Is there any ill effects from that, or we think it's going to be good to go for the rest of the day?
We're good to go. We're a little bit sore, but we'll be good to go. He's a racer, so when the gate drops, it's game on.
It was, because he got the whole shot and led some laps, but now RJ Hampshire, ever determined, able to get around him, so that'll put Hampshire into the third place spot. And it's kind of the same thing for Cooper as it is for Hammaker, just trying to bring this thing home. But here comes that cavalry.
Man, there is a hornet's nest behind him now. He's got his hands full. Got Forkner coming there, Kitchens, also Shimoda.
Yeah, Shimoda starting to make moves, crossing in front of Kitchen. They almost came together.
Oh!
Whoa, and Kitchen almost goes flying. Able to hold on to it. Forkner and Cooper now dicing. This is for fourth.
This goes back to what Jeremy was talking about, the keys when it comes to different stuff, about the uphills and the downhills. But some guys are scrubbing it, some guys are sending it, trying to jump out there a couple bumps, because that's what happened in the 80s when Americans were dominant in Supercross. It took that style to motocross. Is you all of a sudden now you over jump 3 or 4 bumps out into the straightaway. So using both styles, scrubbing and sending it.
The good thing is look at this. You see Forkner on the outside. He's going to get the speed, but he kind of screwed up the entry a little bit there going up the hill. It looked like he was going to have the mile per hour, but didn't get it done.
Cooper's still fighting, keeping that Yamaha as wide as he possibly can. Forkner going to take another shot at it, and this time he gets it.
Nice move up the inside. See, Cooper's just starting to, he must be just getting a little bit tired at this point in the moto. This is pretty late in the moto here. And then
he's going to get double passed here. Kitchen around the outside, and Shimoda's trying to do it as well.
And that's a little salt in the wound when your teammate goes by you.
Yep, so Kitchen overhauls him. Same thing with Shimoda. Shimoda and Kitchen have been battling the entire way. This has been pretty fun to watch. So this is what the Star Yamaha needed with Cooper. You'd argue that he's the favorite for the team, but he's coming in off an injury. So they need some of these young kids to develop quickly, and Kitchen looks pretty good right now in the 59. He is in 6th and trying to hang with Forkner.
And once again, when we talk about that ankle injury, that was a few years ago, that would probably be a career-ending field. But Dr. John Terragrossa did some radical surgeries to it, and it's great to see Justin Cooper out here riding, giving 100%. But right now, his 100% is not the same as it was, the same Justin Cooper as it was at Hangtown last year with the full season of racing.
Yeah, he's missed about 4 months off the motorcycle. It's showing right now as this Kitchen and Shimoda battle continues to rage. All right, so this is good stuff. The Lawrence brothers continue to lead Jet over Hunter. Hampshire has moved into 3rd. Forkner on that 33 is in 4th, and not too far behind Hampshire. Hey, a great addition to the series this year. This is what we call our staging area show every Friday night live at the track of the Monster Stage from 6 to 7. We had Axel Hodges and Jeremy Twitz-Stenberg to bench race with last night. Myself, Jason Thomas, Jeremy McGrath, you joined us along with Rob Vitus, and we got the crowd pumped up. And then once we had that going, we gave the crowd a real show. It's pit bike racing and a big monster freestyle demo. It was a really fun way to hang out on a Friday night at the racetrack.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
Yeah, freestyle's come a long way since Jeremy McGrath pulled a couple knack-knacks and blew our minds back in the day. The whip train definitely had this crowd in a frenzy on Friday night here at Fox Raceway. Back to our leader here, nothing new to report. Jet Lawrence in complete control of this first moto of the year as the countdown clock continues to roll away. 2 minutes, 45 seconds and 2 laps left. And for good measure, his brother Hunter is in the number 2 spot. RJ Hampshire, Austin Forkner battling behind them, 3rd and 4th. Levi Kitchen is 5th. And we got the retro livery there on the Hondas this weekend for the 50th anniversary. That gear looks sort of familiar there, Rick Johnson.
It's a little bit of a playoff of my 1986 gear. That was pretty awesome. I got to meet Jet Lawrence. Yeah, it's actually the second time I've met him, and he still didn't know who I was last night. So I said, hey, can we take a picture by this poster? And he's like, why by the poster? I'm like, because I'm the other guy on the poster. So pretty cool deal. But no, such a sweet kid, so smart. At his age, the things that he talks about, then we got into conversation about boots and flexibility and rideability and things like that, as well as what he does on the bike. He's a special character. I mean, his brother is an unbelievable stud, but this young man right here, carrying the #1 plate for a very good reason, Jeremy, in my opinion, is the guy.
Oh, man. I mean, what we're seeing at him at such a young age. When I was 17, I was still racing amateurs. I mean, what we're seeing out of him, he's definitely a phenom. And it looks it's so good to watch. You know, the techniques he brings out, the thoughtfulness he does when he's out on the track, and the lines he chooses. I mean, it's pretty awesome to watch.
All right, under complete control right now as we get ready for the 2 laps to go sign for Jet Lawrence leading this moto. Okay, so imagine this. Sprint cars on a quarter-mile track for 500 laps. So let's throw in a 3-wide start and some pit stops to boot to make it even crazier. It is the Lucas Oil Little 500. Catch all the action at 9 a.m. tomorrow, only on MAV TV. Jet Lawrence leading this moto. We're going to give you the whole shot replay and show you how this one began. It looked like it'd be a whole shot, actually, for him, but eventually it was Justin Cooper that grabs that Motorsport whole shot.
Justin Cooper comes in, gets to the inside, and you see Jet Lawrence as he starts to work and put himself in a safe position to make it out. We see one of the riders going down, but the top guys making it out of those 2 turns, all safe. But Justin Cooper really starting where he finished off last year.
Yeah, unfortunately, not quite the endurance to hold it down to the end. Justin Cooper, your motorsport.com whole shot, but he has drifted all the way back to the number 9 spot. That's what you're worried about coming into the season injured. Would he have 30 minutes plus 2 level fitness? Not quite there for Justin Cooper, but it is here for Jet.
As we're watching Jet, a very interesting fact. His last lap was a 2:18. His best lap is a 2:17. His brother Hunter is just under a second a lap behind him. So he is still clicking away, and now he's got an advantage of 10 seconds. Jeremy, right now, you're thinking more about second motor, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think, look, you can't get caught up in relaxing too much, because we all know when you relax on the tracks, your mind starts to wander. You start to make mistakes. What I like about it when you're in the lead is I always like to call it chase the rabbit, right? Yep. Just keep chasing the rabbit till you see the checkered flag. That way the mistakes are minimal and you can get it to the end in a safe fashion. He's got a nice lead. He can breathe. He's not stressing over anything, but he's got to keep forcing it all the way till the checkered flag.
A couple other positions have changed here. Hampshire is still 3rd, but Joe Shimoda has gotten around both Kitchen and Faulkner. So Shimoda is 4th. This is Faulkner on the 33 in 5th, and Kitchen just keeps applying the heat from the number 6 spot. Now Pierce Brown on the 44. That is Detroit Lee Design's Red Bull Gas. He's in the hunt as well.
Faulkner made a mistake there going up that section. Do you see his bike flick out to the side? Now he's got all kinds of pressure here from Kitchens.
Kitchen, he tried the outside. Faulkner didn't give him any room. Kitchen going to try the outside again. Here's where they're about to go uphill. Kitchen's got some serious speed here, Rick Johnson. Look at that move.
Use the momentum. And a lot of times that was that off-camber corner we were talking about. And where Kitchen did is use the outside to carry the speed around the outside. If you run the inside or the middle, you're kind of tiptoeing your way around because you are off-camber. There's a small berm, but it's hard to get that drive out of the corner. And Kitchen did a great job using that momentum to pass Faulkner up the hill.
And so Faulkner, a little bit of a struggle early in the moto, great in the middle of the moto, now drifting back a bit in the final stages of it, losing positions to Shimoda and Kitchen. That'll push him back to 6th, and it's not over because Pierce Brown is 7th. Seth Hamaker, who was in the lead group early, is in 8th. Then it's Cooper, and then Styles Robertson.
Well, Jeremy, you were talking earlier about Justin Cooper, and now we see Austin Faulkner starting to look back. That's a telltale sign.
The telltale sign of looking back is you're nervous. You're like, oh, no, I don't know if I have enough fitness to get to the end of this thing, or you're feeling the heat, right? I mean, the worst thing as a rider, I think you could be doing is worrying about the guy behind you, which I like to call looking in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
You never want to do that, right? You want to look for the front, try to stay on the guy's fender in front of you. When you look back, it's a sign of trouble.
Here's Brown. He knows that rule as well, so he's got to have a little confidence when he sees Fortner looking back at him. Hey, credit Joe Shimoda. He is going to push R.J. Hampshire right to the end with about a lap and a half to go. The number 30 is fourth, trying for that final podium spot. We go back to Fortner versus Brown. Brown getting all the way off to the side of the racetrack, looking for some smooth real estate. So we're going to call our Thor battle box, where we'll give you two things at once. Our leader, Jet Lawrence, there in the lower right. As we keep an eye on this battle, Kitchen trying to hold Fortner back. Fortner trying to repass his way into the top 5.
As we watch Jet Lawrence down in the lower right, he's basically doing a practice session. He's watching his lap times. He's trying to beat his lap every time. He's trying to relax, trying to do everything, but he doesn't have that man-to-man combat, which sometimes can key you up. He's in a perfect position right now. This is a very dangerous Jet Lawrence, Jeremy.
And how do you maintain that speed, RJ? You see it on the board, right?
Yep, every time you come around, you know, well, I tried that outside, I was a half a second off. I tried the inside, I was a second better. Whatever the case might be, because now he's searching around a little bit. He's still, as Jeremy says, what I always tell my riders, and I always tell myself, don't count your money. Don't think about your acceptance speech. Don't think about any of that. Think about every rut, every groove, because these guys are the fastest in the world. But what he's doing now is looking around so that for the second moto, he's got eyes in the back of his head. He can try some different things.
A lot of people complain that the Lawrence brothers get too much hype, too much attention, but I don't know what more they can do to prove that that hype is legitimate. Jet winning the last 2 championships he's competed for, Motocross last year, Supercross this year. And Hunter was a close second in the 250 Supercross West campaign as the white flag comes out. Finished behind Christian Craig, won a whole bunch of races in his own right, and now they are 1-2 in the first moto of the year. To have teammates 1-2 is impressive. To have brothers and teammates 1-2 is practically unprecedented, and for all the hype they had coming in, they lived up to it so far.
Well, I mean, I didn't have a brother. I had a sister named Lori. I still have a sister named Lori that was a big fan and you know, was very tough on me growing up. But I did have someone who was like a brother to me, and that was Brock Glover. He was older than me. He was one of the first factory stars right after Marty Smith and Tommy Croft and Marty Tripes and stuff down in El Cajon.
Brock will be in the booth with us next week.
But, Brock was the guy that I could learn from, and I could see what I wanted to be through him, whether it was having if you wanted a nice house, if you wanted, you know, nice cars, if you wanted to live a good life, you had to put the work in, and I learned that from Brock Glover. And you know, Jeremy, I know you had a bunch of mentors as you were growing up, but imagine having a brother.
You didn't have to live with Brock.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank God.
Especially when you started beating him.
I love Brock, but I don't think we could live together. It would be Felix and Oscar, and I'm the pig pen.
I think from what we can tell as fans, these guys, Jet and Hunter, get along well. They're challenged by each other. Jet, of course, doesn't want to get beat by the older brother, Hunter.
Yep.
Hunter's like probably, you know, very motivated by Jet, the younger brother, kicking his butt sometimes. But look, these guys are at the top of the sport. They're running 1 and 2. Like Jason said, that's unprecedented. I mean, for these guys to be doing that is pretty darn cool.
Well, and if anybody doesn't believe they deserve all the hype, they need to go somewhere else, because these guys are the real deal, and they deserve all the attention that they're getting. We see the lap rider putting his arm out to kind of let him know, hey, I'm not messing with you. Whoop. I'm trying to get out of the way. Let me get out of the way.
Yeah.
And here we're watching Jet Lawrence as he winds down just a couple more turns, and he is going to be our first round winner at the AMA Pro National at Fox Raceway.
And by the way, Jet Lawrence has raced here at this track 3 times, and he's been the overall winner all 3 times. Now, I asked him about that during the week, and he said it's actually not one of my favorite tracks, but can't really argue with the record. This is only the first moto of the day, so he's not the overall winner yet, but he's taking big steps to being 4 for 4. Jet Lawrence wins the first moto of 2022 and points right at that #1 plate. He's the champ. They've got to go through him if they want the title, and he just served notice that that is going to be a very, very difficult task in 2022.
That was fun to watch. That was quite a display. Put on a clinic for those guys, and you know, he's just patient at the beginning. As soon as the track came in, put on the afterburners, pulled that gap, and just had a nice friendly ride.
Lawrence, Hunter finishes second, Hampshire, Shimoda, Kitchen, and Fortner. And Brown comes across in 7th, and that's really the thing with Jet. I know he's young and successful, and a lot of people, you would assume that's because he's wild and he hangs it out. but is actually quite intelligent the way he approaches a race, MC.
He is very calm, cool, and collected. I mean, the guy, you can tell he has been studying this sport for a long, long time, and he's been watching his heroes and figuring out the way he wants to do it, and man, he's making it look good.
And there's Hunter. Brothers 1-2 to start the season.
When you watch the two of them, they're not getting too enthusiastic. They're not too excited. They congratulate each other, but now they also know that it's going to come down to one of them unless they have a massive problem. So I love the intensity and the camaraderie between the two brothers.
An amazing journey. Two young Australians. They traveled through Europe to make their way to the United States, and at least in the early part of this season, they're 1-2.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
Okay, first moto of the year is done in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and that team, Honda HRC, went 1-2 in it. Hunter and Jet Lawrence, second and first. RJ Hampshire finished up in third. Let's give you the highlights of the first moto to Lucas Oil race recap. Jalek Swoll going to get tangled up in another rider here and go down. Looks to be hurt. He gets off of the racetrack, so unfortunately his moto was done immediately. Up front, Justin Cooper had grabbed the whole shot but was under pressure from the number one, and there is the move from Jet Lawrence.
Jet Lawrence starts to work his way through, and as he goes by, very smooth, and immediately put up a 2 to 3 second lead in about 4 turns. So Jet Lawrence leaving off with that, obviously why he has the number 1 plate.
Oh yeah, now bad news here. Cameron McAdoo, we spotted him headed back to the pit area. Must have been a big crash for him. So that's not the way he or Swoll wanted their season to begin. McAdoo's as tough as they come, so hopefully he'll be back fairly quickly. Then back to the racetrack. Here's the battle for the number 2 spot, MC.
Looks like Hunter Lawrence here making the pass on Justin Cooper while Justin was having a little bit of trouble keeping the pace. Faded back a little bit in the race. Pretty surprising, but he's getting going.
Yeah, he started with a whole shot, but he has not been riding the motorcycle much. And here's more trouble. A big pack behind Cooper here. It will eventually be RJ Hampshire getting by him. And this would put the number 24, the Rockstar Husqvarna rider, into third place. And that would set our podium positions in front of Shimoda and Kitchen, who are 4th and 5th. No challengers for Jet Lawrence down the stretch. Final margin of victory, 6.6 seconds, and he points to the number 1 plate, showing you why he's a champion there by taking the first moto of the season. All right, Jet Lawrence is on the podium. We'll send it down there with Jason Thomas.
Now I'm down here with Jet Lawrence. Now, Jet, you come in here with the number 1 plate. you've never lost an overall at this race. You go out there and win that one pretty easily with your brother in tow. How easy is this for you right now?
I mean, it's not easy. The track's pretty, it's pretty like tricky right now because it's not like heaps of ruts. So a lot of the time we're like trying to bank off stuff and then kind of tinkle toe around some on the flat. So it's definitely a little bit difficult with that, but no, it's a perfect way to start off with the Lawrence brothers going 1-2. Hopefully it's the same way in the next one. Hopefully I can just pip him, but we'll see. He's looking good this year. I mean, once he got into second, we stayed the same. So it's going to be whoever gets the better start out of Hunter and I. So no, I'm excited. It should be a good way to start off, and can't wait for the rest of the next Moto 2. Yeah.
Yeah, no reason to not be ready for Moto 2 and excited for it when it goes that well. It'll be fun to have them start together in battle as we get to our Lucas Oil results here from the first Moto. As I mentioned, Hampshire rounds out the podium. Shimoda wins that battle. He was in it deep with Forkner and Kitchen. He comes out on top. Pierce Brown was right behind them in 7th. We'll go outside the top 10. Cooper going all the way back to 11th. The fitness just not quite there yet. Max Volan, Varese, Kelly, Drake. And we'll give you the majority of the field here. Ty Masterpool just back from injury, 24th. 40 riders do compete in each moto. Swoll and McAdoo, as you see there, they had those early crashes we showed you the highlights. Noah Viney making his pro debut, 35th. So a lot of lessons being learned out there, and we'll send it back down to the podium with JT.
I have Hunter Lawrence, your runner-up in the first moto. Now, that had to feel a little bit like a practice moto. You and your brother just riding around out there together. I mean, I'm sure you were trying hard, but certainly didn't look that way. Walk us through it.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously 1 and 2, it's good good for the family and stuff. Great way to start off the season. We're definitely in the hunt. So 23 more motos to go. And yeah, it's a tough track. It's not one that you can really override and use too much strength and muscle the bike around. So you got to be smooth and technical.
All right, that's Hunter Lawrence finishing up in the number 2 spot. And yeah, it's kind of like a practice moto at home. They do all their riding together during the week, so why not do it in the motos as well? Here's our upcoming schedule brought to you by Honda. Next week we'll be at Hangtown in Northern California. I'll be joined in the booth by Brock Glover, 6-time champion of this series. Then we'll go to Thunder Valley in Colorado. We'll actually have Moto on NBC there, and we'll welcome Ricky Carmichael to the booth for that. Then it's High Point, Redbud, and Southwick to go to the eastern part of the United States. Spring Creek and Washougal, Unadilla in upstate New York. Budds Creek Ironman, and we'll end it right here at Fox Raceway September 3rd. And the 12th of 12 rounds this year. Let's finish up our podium. Send it down to RJ Hampshire with JT.
I have your 3rd place in Moto 1, RJ Hampshire. Now, RJ, there's a little bit of uncertainty about which class you were going to race, if I understand that correctly, coming in, but it certainly didn't seem to derail you today.
Yeah, we've put in some good work. Wish my start was a bit better on that, but stoked on how we feel today, how the bike is. Clicked off a pretty solid moto there. So get a better start second moto, and hopefully can challenge the Lawrences.
Yeah, there was some testing time. They were almost putting him on a 450 for the summer. So they lost a little 250 time, came around pretty quick. That cavalry back there, there was a good battle, Jeremy, behind the Lawrences. Is anybody going to get in there and challenge them out of that group, though?
Well, here's the question. Are these guys going to get better starts? Because you know Jet is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justin Cooper ran up front, had a little trouble with the fitness at the end. He's healing from injury. A lot of good guys from that 3rd to 5th to 6th spot. I mean, we're up for some great battles.
Can they get in there?
I gotta go with Joe Shimoda. He surprised me. He was getting faster and faster all the time. So if there is anybody that can give the Lawrence brothers a little bit of a hard time, I'm going to say it's Joe Shimoda with that Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Obviously, Mitch puts a very, very fast bike underneath these guys, and he was the guy. He's going to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, a lot of hype for the Lawrence brothers right now, and a lot of other teams probably not too happy about that. They're going to reset for 250 Moto 2, which will be in a little over an hour. But we have the highly anticipated opener of the 450 class coming up next. Eli Tomac, it's been a renaissance season for him. Same for Jason Anderson. Ryan Dungey coming out of retirement. Antonio Caroli, the 9-time world champ, coming over to the United States to race for the first time. So many great stories. 450 Moto 1 will be coming your way next on MAV TV and MAV TV Plus. What a great day to be at the races and celebrate. And RJ, hey, it's Southern California. No better place to kick it off.
Well, and this guy, Chase Sexton, was our fastest qualifier. Very impressive. He's running some different stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit different. He's got a different shock on the back of his bike. But Jet Lawrence, very, very fast in that first moto. I can't wait to watch the 450.
Yep. So Honda's in control of the 250 division. We'll see. They are also 1-2 in qualifying in the 450s with Chase Sexton and Ken Roczen. 250 Moto 1 in the books. It was a Lawrence Brothers show. Justin Cooper was up front early, not able to hold off Jet Lawrence, and Hunter would bust through to take the number 2 spot. Thanks for watching 250 Moto 1. Congrats to Jet Lawrence. We'll be right back with the 450s.